Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and an addict. Um, I just want to say that I'm very grateful that I found Shane, and that he was we're able to link up. And I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and call in and do a little bit of my story and share a little bit of my hope. I want to share more of my hope with you than my experience and, the nightmare of addiction, so forth and so on. But I'm just going to start off with this and I think that a lot of addicts can relate. When I was young, growing up, I was probably about 4 or 5. I have very vivid memories of being this girly girl and like being outside and picking buttercups and putting them under my chin and asking my sister, like, hey, do I like butter? And she'd say no, and I'd start crying. I was like super, super sensitive. Um, and I hated dirt. I always wanted to stay clean. I always had to have my hair, my nails done, and a dress on. And I don't know, I was just like wicked super girly. And I have one other sibling who's my sister. She's 3 years older, almost 4, and she was like the tomboy at the time. When we were younger, she liked the dirt and cutting up the worms, and that stuff would just like bother me huge, big time. Anyways, I remember being in after that. My next big memory that really has stuck with me till it's still with me today. I'm not gonna lie. Um, was in kindergarten. I believe it was kindergarten or first grade. It's when the teacher asks you and asks everyone, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone, police officer, teacher, firefighter, lawyer, doctor. And so I was like the second to last person or something. And she came, it was my turn. And she said, Cheryl. And I remember being so nervous inside. And I looked up at her and I said, a windshield wiper. And for like 30 seconds, there was pure silence. And then there was the biggest laughs from these 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds in the class. And I just started like turning bright red. I could feel myself. Uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand what was so funny. I knew what I was trying to say. Clearly, no one else did. And I'll get back to that. So, so we were getting ready to, leave to go home, and we had to pass on the piece of paper too that we wrote it down on. And I passed. I kept my piece of paper. I didn't change it because, of how I felt. I left it. All I could think about was how I felt different, and how upset I was, and confused too. And I handed it to the teacher, and she said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yes." I'm trying to hold in my dragon tears from coming out, and I couldn't. I stopped bawling my eyes out. She looks at me and says, Cheryl, you can't be a windshield wiper. That's not something you can be. And I said, but that's what I want to be. And she said, I think you misunderstood though. You can be a teacher, you can be a doctor, you can be a dancer, but you can't be a windshield wiper. Anyways, needless to say, long story short, I went home for 3 days, and I pretty much had my head in the toilet bowl throwing up because that's how sensitive I was. And my sensitivity got to my stomach, made me sick. And I didn't understand why I couldn't be a windshield wiper, and why she wasn't understanding why I wanted to be a windshield wiper. I'm just going to say it now so I don't forget. What I was trying to say I was trying to articulate at 5 or 6 years old was, I remember taking these long rides with my family down to the Cape when I was very little. And I remember there was times, that there's like rainstorms on the highway, and my dad was the driver, my mom was up front, me and my sister were in the back. And I used to watch the windshield wipers wipe away the rain. And I was in awe to think that, like, wow, like these little things on the car, it's so bad out, it's pouring and raining or hailing or whatever. I'm like, we're still able to go to the Cape because my dad can like click these things on and it makes it go away. Even though it comes back, it takes it away. And so that made me happy. And I thought that, must make other people happy too, because they can see, like, it's like clearing out, the fog, the rain, the tears, and bringing out the sunshine. And then remembering the sunshine coming out after that, And so in my head, what I wanted to be when I grew up was something that cleared away the negativity, the rain, the pain, and bring out the sun and see people happy. And so I hope my teacher can hear this today, but I'm sorry, teacher, you misunderstood the assignment, not me. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I was saying I wanted to basically, if there was anything I could do in life, was serve as being a good person and helping another person and not be a part of their suffering rather than help them through and out of their suffering. Um, Again, I really wish I wish I could have articulated at that age how I can now, and I could have explained, but I couldn't. And the only thing I could do was cry. And once again, it goes back to I, at that moment, already felt different. And inside of my brain, I said to myself, I knew that moment I was different. So I thought, well, yeah, I'm not unique to a certain extent. I just didn't feel like I fit in. And then it went on for a while, obviously, because kids can be mean. I mean, and they would say stuff to me about it, and I wanted to be a windshield wiper and just ridiculous stuff. But anyways, that it didn't matter. I was super sensitive, and that's how I dealt with things. Was I would leave school, I'd go home, and I'd be sick for days on end. So um, let's get to the next part. That's when I really started feeling. Yeah, I think it was 5 or 6 years old. That's when I really started feeling different than everybody else. And time went on, and I stayed girly, and I got a little bit older, and I believe I was 9. My sister was 12. 12, yeah. And I came home from school, and she was smoking a joint in the back porch with her best friend. And I remember she cornered me in the back porch of my mother and father's house, and like had this huge hit of weed in her mouth and fucking like blew it down my throat. And I remember freaking out because I wasn't like, I hadn't touched anything. I was 9. I never touched anything yet. And not yet. And I didn't wanna know or feel a feeling of whatever that feeling was gonna be. So I freaked out. Needless to say, I didn't even get high, which was strange. I'm not sure how that happened, but nothing happened to me. And I'm pretty sure I would have known if something did. Um, Anyways, I know to this day that my sister and I have talked about, and she's like, I know, I remember making you try it. Like, I know she was a teenager herself, fucking around with, pot and wanted to get her younger sister high. And like, I don't have any resentment today. Obviously, I don't have much resentment on anyone at all today. I can't because I continue to drink the poison. When I keep resentment on others, it becomes my problem, not theirs. Always was my problem, not theirs, I should say. So anyways, then a little bit went by, and I actually I was still 9, and I remember thinking how I didn't get high from that joint, and I didn't know how the fuck I didn't get high. And I remember asking people, and I started hanging out with like people that were like 5 and 7 years older than me. And I was 9, like I was hanging out with 15-year-olds. So that's a lot older than I am. And I started smoking weed, and I started drinking. And I started just getting in with all the wrong people, and I actually became a runaway. A runaway to at first to like I don't know if you want to call it a runaway, but a runaway like I would just leave the house and go down the park like 3 blocks down from the house and stay inside like this dungy tunnel thing. And it wasn't to get high so much. It was just I just wanted to run away and go back to like wait, this girly girl went down to like this little grungy tunnel thing down the park and sat in there. Yeah, I did. I don't exactly know what was going on, except for I didn't want to be in that house. So and there's a now I can see why, but I also think I did things, rebelliously. I'm not everything has the answer, and I'm okay with that today because it was temporary, like I said, and thank God everything is temporary. So anyways, I started getting into the weed and the acid, and the drinking, and I was putting acid tabs in my eye. And then I was about 12 or 13, and I met my daughter's biological father, and he was 19. And my mother let him move in with me. I was 12 years old. And he was from East Boston. I'm from Winthrop, very close to Boston, to the city. And basically, like, she just let him move in. And I still don't know why to this day the real truth of why she let a 19-year-old move in with someone that was 12 or 13 years old. But she told me that when I was an adult, and I asked her multiple times because she was afraid I was going to run away. But why? I was already running away. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I guess neither here nor there. It did happen. The fact that it did happen, I ended up pregnant just shy a month of my 13th birthday. My birthday's October 14th, 1976. And I got pregnant at the end of September. And I remember my mother dragging me, literally taking me to an abortion clinic and, freaking out on me on how did this happen? Like, how the fuck did you get pregnant? Like, what do you mean, how the fuck did I get pregnant? Like, you're letting my boyfriend live and we're sleeping in the same bed. Like, what do you think is going on? And it was awful. It really, I felt like it was a huge downward spiral from there. There was people outside the clinic and saying, you don't want to do this. And obviously I had I had no fucking say on whether I did or didn't want to do it. I know I was only a baby myself, but anyways, I remember I almost ran out of the clinic because they left me near the exit door in a wheelchair when they already gave me my medication. And I remember the medication gave me, made me feel ballsy, so to speak. So I wanted to run, but I didn't for some reason. I don't know if I don't know. I just didn't. So yeah, I ended up having an abortion at 13, right before I was 13. And then the relationship went on, and I started using more, and I started using harder, and I started not coming home at nights, and I started getting myself in trouble with the law, with OUIs and TUIs, and I wrecked my dad's car. I got it impounded a few times. My dad was an auxiliary police officer. I got him fired because we'll get into that in a minute. Actually, I'm sorry, I went too far ahead of myself. So, anyways, let's move forward to 3 years. I turned 16 and I was pregnant again, and I wasn't going through the abortion again. It wasn't happening. No one was going to tell me differently. I couldn't experience that again. That pain was something that I don't wish on anyone if it's against their own will. It's definitely not fair, and it's definitely, I believe, a choice. I understand, like I said, that I was young, but it's a choice that the female that's pregnant really needs to make, and I don't know. Anyways, I didn't have an abortion. I had her. So she's 27 now. Her and I are estranged. She has a 2-year-old daughter. I have not met my granddaughter yet. My daughter also is in recovery, and I'm not breaking her anonymity. I'm saying it because I had to watch my daughter go through the grips of hell with addiction. And when I was sober and clean, I chased her down for 5 years and sectioned her over 26 times. I really looked like the sicko, not her. I couldn't imagine in my wildest, most horrific dream that I was ever going to have to watch my own blood, my own and only daughter, go through not only what I went through, but so much worse. It was nothing short of a fucking nightmare. And the only time we had a relationship was when she was institutionalized or in jail or in prison. Prison was our best relationship in Framingham. Women's prison. And she would even say that too. She knew. That's when we had a great relationship because, she was the drug. Well, I should say the majority of the time, especially with prison, the drug was taken away from her. It was very hard to get drugs. Especially I wasn't handing her money left and right in her canteen, that kind of money to get, stuff. So yeah, I was a wicked young mom, and I was was 16. I was 17. I was still in high school when I had her. She was born July 21st, 1993. I graduated in 94. I did graduate from high school. I did have her on the field with me with the diploma, and wow, this town so nasty where I live. It can be. There was a ton of like things in the paper out here about being 17 and having a baby on the field and the disgrace that I was. And once again, it just reminded me of how I was different and didn't fit in. I did stop doing all drugs and all drinking and smoking cigarettes when I got pregnant, though. So, yeah, go figure. I could do it for her. I remember when I went and told her father that I was pregnant. I'm not with him. That I was like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, cool, come in and smoke a joint. I'm like, hello, I'm pregnant, fucking idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, let's go get high and celebrate you're pregnant. No. So my pregnancy was kind of stressful. He was a lot older than me. He had 7 or 7.5 years on me, and like I said, I was 17. It was I felt good though when I was pregnant. Like I said, I wasn't using, and I hadn't hit the hard drugs yet though either. I didn't start the cocaine and the crack cocaine and go on until after my daughter was born. And I was living with my mother in a very abusive relationship with the guy that she took me to have the abortion with when I was 12. Same guy. So anyways, needless to say, I stayed with this guy for a while, obviously. He was very abusive emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, physically. He was just very toxic to me and for me. And I was afraid, eventually that Ariana, that my daughter was going to get hurt, and I didn't want her around it. And I decided I wanted out of the relationship. I mean, it was to the point where he was abusing me physically in the home. And I know, I mean, if I say this all the time, if I'm wrong, and I God forgive me, may I burn in hell, but I know that my mother's legally blind, but my dad, there was multiple times that he was like shaving in the bathroom, and my bedroom was like parallel from the bathroom, and he'd have the bathroom door open, and I know that he's seen Mark abuse me, and he just didn't do anything about it. So as a young child developing at young raw age, to me, I mean, I thought it was acceptable and okay. Not that my dad ever beat my mom. He didn't. He worked 3 jobs. And my mom drank alcohol an awful lot, but he never like put his hands on my mom. He's a Vietnam vet. He did have, like, when he got mad and would snap, I remember he would throw the plate across the table, but never at anyone. Like, he never was a harm to himself or anyone, So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that was watched, but I know for a fact there was one time that he seen it, and he didn't say anything. And I could be wrong, like I said, and if I am, like, God forgive me, but I just don't get it if I'm not wrong, and I'm pretty sure I'm not, why it wasn't stopped then. But I think I may know why, and I don't think I'm wrong. I think he did know, and I'm going to tell you why. After Ariana was born, we went out, and it was the 3rd of July, and before I met him, I actually had like a guy that I met that took my virginity, and I was with him for a little bit, and then I met the guy that was a lot older, Mark. That's his name. And we went out, and it was the 3rd of July, and he stabbed the guy that took my virginity. The guy that took my virginity, there was no reason for him to stab him except for that reason, which is insane. That's not a reason to go stabbing someone. He stabbed him 17 times. He gave me the knife that night and told me that I had to go take it and I had to hide it. And if I didn't, he was going to use it on me. Great. So this little town that I live in, it's so small. I'm east of Boston. It's just like a tiny little peninsula that's east of Boston. I'm like 15 minutes from the tunnel to downtown Boston. And I remember running from one side of the town to the other to go, and I had blood all over my hands to go and try and ditch this fucking bloody knife. And the cops, I could see the lights from behind me, and I was on foot, and they pulled me over on foot. What's going on, this and that. And I was like, I'm so fucked right now. Like, I had blood everywhere, and I was crying because I couldn't understand how someone could do that to another human being, because I did some fucked up shit, but I wasn't into hurting others, you know. I hurt myself. Yes, I hurt others because of my direct abuse with drugs and alcohol, but not because I sat there and planned out that, you know, I wanted to hurt them. So anyways, I got away. I don't know how because I was manipulative as fuck. That's how I got away with it. And the cop believed me, and I said I didn't know anything about it. And long story short, I hid the knife, and there was 5 other guys that were there. There was 5 in total, I'm sorry, 4 other guys, and they all had to go to trial. So before I hit that real quick, I ran home with him to my house. My father was outside, and I was like, Dad, listen. And he was an auxiliary policeman at the time here in Winthrop. And I told him what happened. I said, you know, Mark stabbed Brian and X, Y, and Z. Like, I was dead out straight with him, did not lie. I was like, he needs to change his clothes, because if they find him with blood, this is what's going to happen. And my dad was like, okay. And then court came, and you know, I needed someone that was trustworthy enough that the Commonwealth, because I wasn't really, like I said, I wasn't out hurting people, but I wasn't the best citizen on the things that I was doing, getting high, you know, OUIs, DUIs and stuff. And my reputation was pretty fucking shitty. So I figured, who better than my dad being a cop, right? So I had my father go to Suffolk Superior Court in Boston, and testify that Mark did not do it. And unfortunately, no one got caught. No one got the consequences for this kid almost dying and being stabbed 17 times. And but the consequence was that my father had to turn his shit in, because they knew, I forget the word they used, but they knew he was part of it and that he was lying, but they couldn't prove it. But the department here in this town, it was them who did it. So years went on, and you know, my drug use again got harder. I got into coke and crack, and my daughter was like 7 or 8 at that. No, I'm gonna back up. I'm sorry. So she was about 2. And let's see, I was 17, 18. Yeah, she was about 2 years old, and her biological father tried to kill me. I ended up in the hospital, and then 2 psych wards where they put me on benzos and antidepressants. And so now I'm on benzos, and I'm using drugs. Fast forward a little bit, and let's see, where was I? Hold on. So I was getting high on coke, and she was about 6, 7 years old, and I started smoking crack, and I was sneaking out the back door and leaving her home alone. And you know, I thought I was the fucking mother of the year. Like, I thought I was this great, awesome mother. And thank God I had, even though everything that had happened, and thank God I had my mother and my father, because when the shit came down, like, I needed them. You know what I mean? Like, they were my daughter's backbone. They picked up what I couldn't, responsibility wise. Because life really turned shitty. I mean, when you're a 6-year-old wakes up in the middle of the night from a nightmare and is screaming and crying, you know, where's my mommy? And I'm out smoking crack, and I have no idea that must suck, you know. And I when she was in jail and prison the few times that she was, in institutions trying to get well and had some time under her belt, I did make my amends with her, you know, verbally, on paper, looking at her face to face. It just never seemed like enough, though, because It's just because it's not enough. It's not enough. You can't make up for something like that. But I had to forgive myself. The reason why I say it's not enough is because today was still estranged. Like I said, and I do have a granddaughter, and I still haven't met her yet. But the estrangement goes deeper than both of our addictions. Supposedly she's clean. I can tell you for a fact I'm clean and sober for 16 years. So I don't really know what's going on over there, but I'm not gonna touch that subject too much. It's live and let live, like they say in chapter 5 of How It Works in the Big Book. So yeah, so I was leaving the house, getting high, and it just got worse. It got to the point where I was actually having seizures, smoking crack, and doing coke, and then obviously I was with different people and thinking I was getting coke, and I went to go sniff a bag of coke that was dope, and I'd be friggin' puking my brains out. I had no idea because I had never touched dope before. And I remember like some people being like, dude, that's fucked up. Like, you shouldn't have done that. You should have told her. You can't just go ahead and mix the coke with the dope and not let her know. And like, I really didn't have any idea until I knew something was wrong after, I had sniffed it or smoked it. I had a different kind of euphoric. I didn't have that cocaine high. Through all of this high, I just want to say through all of this, through all my drug and my alcohol use, the drugs and the alcohol were only a very small symptom of my disease, and self-infliction of, pain of hurting myself and, stuff like that. But it was, that's all drugs and alcohol are a symptom. Anyone can go into fucking detox and kick dope, coke, meth, whatever it is. Like, we can all do it. It becomes a revolving door sometimes for us. Actually, it did for me for quite some time. And, I talked about, oh, maybe I need to like go to Florida and get out of here, or maybe like I need to do this, and maybe I need to, no, like maybe you need to actually fucking work on yourself, Cheryl. Like, work on the underlying reasons why you even got to this point, why you are such a fuck up right now, instead of making up all these excuses and then doing the same thing over and expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity. When you're repeating the same thing over and over, getting the same results and saying, but why? Like, no, I had to get off the pity party. I had to realize that not only do I feel that I was born this way, that I did already have it through genetics, but it was choices that I made in life, and my choices and my chances were less than average. I definitely felt that I had the capacity to get sober, but clean is a whole nother story. And it was only when I realized that I needed to shut the fuck up and I needed to get honest, not with a temporary sponsor or a sponsor, or I should say not just with, but I had to really fucking get deep down, open, raw, honest with myself. Like, that was the only way I was getting clean. Because if I didn't, I kept going. I was like a rat on a friggin' Ferris wheel, going round, round, and around, and thinking I was gonna go on a square. When, like, you can't do that. Like, that's impossible, So I realized that I had to get rigorously honest with myself, and then my chances were less than average, and that I was suffering from emotional, mental, spiritual disorders, and there was underlying reasons, and I had to forgive. And don't get me wrong, like, I know certain people say, well, that's not forgiven, like this forgive and forget. Like, for me, for what I went through with domestic violence and stuff, I can't forget, but I for sure can forgive. It doesn't mean I'm holding it over someone's head, though. When I tell you I can't forget, it means it's burnt into my head. Like, I can't undo someone taking me in a car and going through every red light at 100 miles an hour and almost hitting other cars and then flipping a car over. Like, you can't undo the stuff that's burnt in your brain. I can't undo the times I went to look for my daughter and she was overdosed, and I had a feeling in my stomach she was overdosed on Mass Ave, or, you know, at the hospital down there. And sure enough, she was overdosed on machines. Like, you can't undo these things. But they're also not excuses to go and use. And I'm getting to this point because, in a general way, with, you know, being an addict in recovery and being clean and sober, and I emphasize clean and sober because they're two different things. And what I was like then and what I'm like now, I decided I wanted what others had. This was my spiritual awakening, and I was willing and wanting to go any length to get it, to get sober and clean. And I was ready to take those certain steps. Again, I believe that talk about that in chapter 5 and how it works in the AA and NA book. I'm not sure. I believe it's chapter 5, but and it's it's making the moral inventory of ourselves, searching and fearless moral inventory, and admitting to God, ourselves, and to other human beings the exact nature of our wrongs, you know, and asking God or a power higher than ourselves to remove these defects of characters, and humbly asked him to remove all of my shortcomings, and that part played a huge part of acceptance for me. And so I want to say I did my steps, not once, not twice, not 3 times. I've done them multiple times, and I believe in doing them multiple times, because even though I'm not using drugs, I'm far from perfect. Like, I still have character defects that need to be fixed. Like, I'm going to be cold up, dead raw honest. I can still go in a store and pick up something and steal it. Not huge, but like a bottle of nail polish. And that's like an old behavior. Like, I don't need to do that today. You know what I mean? But sometimes it happens, because you know what? It's about progression. It's not about perfection. But I work on those things. You know, I'm more mindful of them today and say, no, I can't do that. You know, like, there's a huge difference, like I said. And also, I think the meaning behind the sober and clean thing is, for years, after my daughter's biological father tried killing me, when I was 17, they put me on benzodiazepines, and I was on them for 26 years. And it was just, so March of 2019, I broke my right. I had open 2 type 2 fracture in my right leg, my tib, my fib, and my ankle. I slipped on a piece of ice, and I was home alone. My husband's a firefighter. He was on a 24-hour shift. My phone went flying, and my tib came popping out of my skin. And I was sober and clean. I was going to work. It was 5:30 on a March 7th night. It was getting cold out, and my bone was hanging on my leg, and I broke 3 bones, and I had no phone. And I was screaming for help, and it was 15 minutes, and no one was coming. And I thought I was going to die. This was March of 2019. It was just 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago that just passed. Anyways, I was found by somebody, and they called 911, and obviously my husband's a firefighter, so he came on the call, and great, right? Nothing like seeing your wife with you know, all that mess going on. But again, I was sober and clean. But this is where I'm getting into the benzo part. I was still taking my benzos as prescribed. I had no idea what the long-term effects of them were going to be. When the paramedic gave me fentanyl, which really took the pain away, because I had 3 broken bones. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just to get you in out of a little bit of discomfort, I should say, or in a little bit of comfort, which it really didn't do. But he gave me the max that you could give someone that was like 200 pounds, and I'm only like 120 pounds at 5 feet. So I'm small. So I was going out, I guess, in the ambulance, and he's tapping me going, Cheryl, if you go out, I'm going to have to Narcan you. And all I could think about was, oh my God, even if he Narcans me, they never asked me what I was on for meds. They have no idea that I take 5 milligrams a day of benzodiazepines. Like, I'm fucked. Now, I have a really bad broken leg. I'm screaming in fucking pain, but this epiphany comes flying through my head. Okay. And this is years after being clean and sober. Like I said, I wasn't using street. I was prescribed them. I didn't realize that they were only supposed to be used for 2 to 4 weeks. And what happens after that, I was never explained that when they gave them to me at 17 years old. And obviously, being a minor, I didn't, I don't know. I don't even think I signed for it. I think I don't know who did at the psych hospital that I was in. Anyways, that's when it happened for me more. That's when my recovery got deeper. And that's when I realized in the hospital, in that 5 days of being in Mass General Hospital in Boston, and all the painkillers that they had to give me, and the emergency surgery. I have a titanium rod in my right leg. It goes all the way down to my ankle. I realized that at that moment, when at night, like they had me on fentanyl and morphine pump, and I was hallucinating because those medications like that make me hallucinate the way I was getting them. But I also was thinking, because they would say, we have to skip your afternoon dose and just give you half the benzo because you're on so much benzos, like we can't really give you the amount of pain med that you need to control the pain, because my BP and everything was my blood pressure and my vitals were too low, of course, because respiratory distress, that's like a bomb waiting to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, you just don't mix benzos and benzos and opiates. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So that's my epiphany came in from the benzos, that I wanted to stop the benzos. And so it was shortly after that that my doctor, my GP, PCP, passed away, and I had to find a new one. I was freaking out because I needed my meds. And again, I had another awakening of, wow, like this is ridiculous. Like I'm chasing down any doctor right now to give me my medication because my doctor passed away. Like it was just getting really shitty. And it reminded me of how much I would chase the crack, and how much I would chase the coke, and how much I would chase the line, and how much I chased everything. Like my addictive behavior too was not just like the drugs and the alcohol. Like my addictive behavior went well way over the Atlantic Ocean. Like everything had to be, I almost feel like I had an addiction to everything. I had an addiction to lying. I was like a pathological liar. Yes, I can say that today. I don't know how many people can, or if they want to admit it, but my lies and my convincing was so fucking good that I believed myself. And that's awful, awful. That's not the person that I am today. And it's not the person that I wanted to become. But clearly my pain in my brain was deep enough that I wanted to numb it. I didn't know how to fix it. I went to the hospital after, my daughter's dad tried killing me, and instead of giving me the support I needed and the tools that I needed, like when you go to AA and NA or to meetings, or, I felt like this was their answer. I felt like if I was, went into a detox and said, I want to get off the heroin, and they were to throw me on meth, like that's not the answer. I don't want to be medicated. I want to be heard and talk about it so that I can fucking move on in life. Like, so now here I am at 44 years old, and I was 17, and 26, now 27 years later, I'm actually, it's been a 14-month taper. Because 5 milligrams of benzos equals 75 milligrams of Valium. So I started on 70 milligrams of Valium, and I'm down to 20 milligrams now, and I'm just about done with my taper. And no, it didn't lead me to not one drink, and no, not to one drug, and not to one thought of wanting to go use. And neither did my daughter straying from me lead me to go use or anything, because I have those tools today to, not go and just pick up. And from my understanding and my firm believing, and this is me personally as an addict in recovery, clean and sober, that if I were to go fucking pick up today, I am making a conscious choice to do that. That is not my disease. I am not sick. I'm not on E. I'm not kicking. The only reason is because it's a choice, right? So if I go ahead and make that choice, along with that choice at this point, because it's definitely a choice, along with that choice comes not only insanity and pain and negligence and all that other stuff, and the jeopardy, being jeopard, putting other people's life at jeopardy, getting arrested, jails, institutions, and but death, and I fuck myself for what? That, and even if I don't go all through that, and I do wake up the next morning, and I just feel like shit. Like, what did it change? It didn't change nothing. And again, nothing changes if nothing changes. The definition of insanity. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to go insane today. I chose, I'm not going to say I'm 100% sane, but I guess that's what makes me me. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is the pattern of fear that went along and feeling different that went along with my drinking and drugging. And I can use it with the benzos too. It's just that fear, and fear's a liar. And I can look that in the face today and I can be okay with that. My story is a real story. It's nothing short from anyone else's, and it's nothing over anyone else's. I went through a lot of pain and I went through a lot of trials and tribulations throughout my drug and drinking using and throughout my recovery. And I still do. Like I said, I'm not perfect and my life is not perfect. But I don't think that there has been a day that has been worse today in recovery than was worse than when I was using. I can manage 90% of things in my life today that come thrown at me, whether they're illnesses or whatever it is. Even when that, I feel 90% of things that happen or are created in life on my part, I am in control of. But there's 10% of things I do believe, because we're all energy, I feel. There's 10% of things that people are not in control of. But what we are in control of, and they find to use as an excuse, and I hear it so fucking often. I'm also a recovery coach. I forgot to mention that. Is that, but that 10% that I'm not in control of. Okay, you may not be in control if the doctor turns around and tells you that you have cancer or you have lupus and you have Sjogren's, like I do. I was told when I was clean and sober that I have systemic lupus erythematosus. I had Sjogren's syndrome. I have multiple connective tissue diseases. I've gone through infusions of chemotherapy. You know what, though? No, I could not decide whether I wanted to make that a fact or not. It is a fact. What I could decide was how Cheryl was going to deal with it. Like, how am I going to deal with it? Am I going to have a nasty attitude and go use? Am I going to be bitchy? Am I going to isolate? Am I going to get, what am I going to do? Or am I going to accept it with grace, right? And just remember that everything's temporary and this too shall pass. And that's how I live my life today. That's how I got to where I am. I also, like I said, I became a recovery coach a long time ago through Sober Network. And I work with all different types of people. I can be looked up online. My last name is Moschitto. It's Moschitto. And it doesn't matter if you have insurance or not. I did it for 4 years. I made a promise to myself when I first became a recovery coach that I wasn't going to charge anyone. And I still, to this day, like, if you don't have the money and you need some guidance, and a recovery coach or whatever, I'm there, because that's who I am. I can't put a price on a life. Like, I don't know. That's why maybe it's not my career. That's why I probably do it this way, because I don't want to make money off people. I think those people that do that are actually sicker than us addicts at our worst days. I can't stomach that type of stuff. I'm real. I'm as real as they come. And I am here and I'm available. And it's nice to know if there's other people there and available. Excuse me, also, if I need them. I'm really grateful to be here today. I don't know exactly how to put this. I'm grateful to be here today. And I found a lot of beautiful things when I got clean and sober, and I got my first job through a friend at the Gavin Foundation, the Phoenix House. Um, she helped me get my job there for a while, but then they closed down and someone else bought them out or whatever. But that was my first job as an RS recovery specialist. Um, and then I became a personal trainer, and then I became a recovery coach, certified recovery coach, and then I became a drug and alcohol counselor. And I'm continuing on. I'm kind of in limbo right now. I always after a windshield wiper, which that's what I am today. I'm a windshield wiper. um, and I like it, but I always wanted to be a nurse. And you know, the between the drugs and financial, I just didn't have the funds to do it. And I also had fear and faith and fear. Today definitely can't live in my heart. So I'm deciding on what to do, whether to go finish, because I am a certified medical assistant. Finish off the classes I need for nursing school, the prereqs, and then just take the class, or go into social working. I'm not too sure yet. I keep bouncing back and forth, and that's okay. Like I said, yeah, I'm 44, but I definitely don't think that there's, just like with grief, there's no restriction on how long you have to grieve, or you can grieve, or no one can tell you. So I'm just trying to figure out, I guess, where I belong. I know I definitely belong somewhere, but I also want to point out something too, real quick, before I end this. I know that there are people that are on SSRIs, antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-anxiety medications that are in recovery. And I know there's a lot of people, with this the COVID and everything that's gone on, that mental health rose 51.9%. And those are stats. And I evidently 40% of those people right now are on some sort of benzo and or anti psychotic psychotic trope medication, whatever it be, whatever. If I had known what I know now about the benzos, which if you don't know what benzos are, that it can be Ativan, Klonopin, Xanax, clonazepam, lorazepam, Ativan, lorazepam. Those are all the other names for it. I wish I had known today what I knew then when they gave me those medications, because like I said, we can all go through detox and like kick. That's yeah, it sucks and it's uncomfortable. The uncomfortable part is sitting with ourselves. But let me tell you something. This detox that has to be done at home, because 5 milligrams, like I said, of benzos. For I was on Ativan and Klonopin, and for my 5 milligrams equals 75 milligrams of Valium. I'm finally down to 10 in the morning and 10 at night, so that's 20 milligrams. And I started over a year ago. I got off the benzos in 28 days, but now it's getting off the Valium. It's the way I'm doing it. It's called the Ashton manual way. It's pretty interesting, but this has been nothing nice. Like, this has been fucking hell. My brain, so in a way, it's bittersweet, because I feel like if I wasn't in recovery, I wouldn't have the tools and know how to deal with it. But in the same breath, like, I get scared some days, because that's who I am. I'm a sensitive person. I've been through some shit. I wasn't able to deal with it. I don't feel correctly. And I'm doing all that now, and that's okay. It's okay. I'm doing that now. I'm more so working on today, though, than going back and working on something that I can't change. The only way I can change that, again, is my reaction to how I react upon it when it's brought up or thought about. And today I choose to react in a humble, grateful way, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. And that's the shit that keeps me going. And you guys that come on here and talk, you keep me going. All of you keep me. Shane, like every single one of you. I'm just really, I'm grateful for everyone, and I'm grateful for life. And today, I remember when I wanted to die. I really did. Like, that's why I said it. It was deeper than the drugs and alcohol. It was just a symptom. It was what was underlying in my brain. I really wanted to die. I didn't want to live anymore. I remember the pain was too much. and I can't even imagine today. Like, I get scared when I see ice that I'm gonna slip again and no one's gonna find me and I could die. And I think, I appreciate life, and I know that it's a gift, and it's a God-given gift from me. And I sure as hell don't wanna I don't wanna take this beautiful life that was given to me and put any more waste to it. I just want to do good with it. And with that said, I want to stay humble and kind, and I hope that everyone is staying well. And if you need a hand, if you need help or a hand with anything, please feel free to reach out, and I will definitely get back to you. I promise I will. And I hope you guys all take care. Thank you so much, Shane, for having me on. And I think I'm gonna wrap it with that.